It's not a secret that Warframe has a lot of resources, ranging from weird rocks to bad dragons. I tried to count all these different resources and the result was a severe mental breakdown. As I was performing highly advanced calculations, I realized that when I look at some of these resources, I don't feel happy feelings. Since there is a higher chance that I will get pregnant before I count all this stuff, I decided to single out a couple of specific resources that I really don't like. Also, if you think that I am doing this because I have nothing else to talk about, you are absolutely correct. Before I begin expelling my deep-seated anger accumulated over the years of grinding, a couple of explanations. When picking out the worst resources, someone smart would decide on specific criteria and then do a very comprehensive research. I am not doing that because that sounds like a lot of work. Instead, I picked a couple of resources that do not give me happy feelings. The first resource on my naughty list is Nitine Extract. This is a resource that every Tenno is familiar with because it is used in a surprisingly wide number of foundry items. Luckily for everyone, it is very easy to get. All you have to do is complete Nightwave tasks to get those creds and simply buy these white containers. If I stopped here, you would have a reason to call me stupid because so far there is nothing wrong with this. However, more experienced among you will know that there are other ways to get this resource, and this is where I have a problem. If you don't have Nightwave credits, you can farm tons of this resource by doing Ghoul Purge bounties, finding 3 hidden caches, or by performing late abortions on Zealoid Prelate. Except you can't do this. The chances of getting Nitine Extract by playing the game and actively looking for it are close to 5% on Ghoul bounties, while on the other missions they are not even worth mentioning. Realistically, if you don't have Nightwave credits, you are gonna have a bad time. This item was added to Nightwave's shop in 2019, 4 years after it was introduced to the game. I'm assuming because no one was happy with the drop chances and this is the main reason I hate this resource. I am wondering why would you have a very easy way to get it, but then you also have an impossible way to get it. I think it would be a good move to just stick to the Nightwave and replace other drops with something else no one cares about. Second on my bad resource list are Kawat genetic codes. As their name suggests, these codes are used in Kawat breeding. They are obtained by scanning feral Kawats found on abandoned derelicts, or they can be bought from the in-game shop. This doesn't look like a bad offer, but I have never spent my platinum on this. There are 3 different variations of Kawats, and if you aren't one of those people who are treating these pets like endangered species, you will optimally need 30 codes to make 1 Kawat of each variation. I absolutely hate scanning Kawats. I did some research and I was actually surprised when I learned that the base chance to get the code is 25%. Let me tell you, it definitely doesn't feel like that. The next resource on my list is not a resource, it's more of a resource group. You have probably noticed that with every new bigger update or a new Warframe, there is always a specific resource which can be exchanged for the Warframe or its toys. Some examples of these resources are Kullervo's Bane, Dagat's Vein Thorns, and most recently, Temple's Beating Heartstrings. most of these resources are pretty okay. However, all of these Warframe specific resources lead me to a bigger issue. Do we really need a new resource for every new Warframe? I understand that people like to collect the stuff, and in a way, playing new missions to get new stuff is kinda exciting. But what happens after 50 new Warframes are released? The potential problem that I see with this approach is that a lot of people are gonna have inventory filled with resources that they won't be able to spend anywhere because they already bought everything they need. I would just prefer to have some kind of universal resource for buying Warframes like this. You might ask me, couldn't people just farm thousands of this universal resource and then immediately buy the new Warframe when it comes out? Short answer is yes, they could. However, I think that this could be controlled with exchange rates, and I also have a different look on this issue. Right now, I still don't have Temple. I am not one of those creators that rush to get new kids on the block to farm their average builds for views. I know that eventually I will get this guy, so in a way the timing means nothing to me. Also, if I am farming required resources before the release of a new frame, I am playing the game. If I am farming resources after the release, I am still playing the game. All of this leads me to my personal choice of the worst resource in the game right now, the Riven Slivers. These crystals are fragments of Riven mods. Don't ask me how this works. Obtaining this resource is pretty easy. I would say it is the easiest resource to get on this list other than Nitine extract. All you have to do is shoot a lot of Eximus units and maybe even open a couple of Requiem relics. After you acquire 35 fragments, you can buy exactly 2 random Rivens, a credit and a co-op pack in Iron Wake once per week. You cannot do anything else. People often ask me how did I get over 2000 slivers in my inventory. And the short answer is, I play the game. Even though I make videos about Warframe, I don't spend a lot of hours per week playing. However, with the sheer amount of late abortions I am doing, this stuff just accumulates over time. If you want to build or buy something and you don't have a resource, you have a problem. If you have a resource but you don't have a way to spend it, you also have a problem. Subjectively, I think this is even worse. As a special bonus, I would like to mention Tellurium. This is another resource that I wanted to fully include on my list, mostly because it involves Archwing missions and underwater tile sets, which I hate, but it's not that bad. You can do a couple of survival runs on Uranus, and unlike most adventures on Uranus, these don't end badly. Overall, I like Warframe's resource system, if we can call it like that. I am crazy enough to play this game over the last 10 years, and this led me to the point where I don't usually worry about resources or getting them. If you are a new player, I get it. The idea of looking for those elusive Orokin cells for the rest of your in-game life is not always appealing. Warframe is not one of those games where skills matter. In a lot of cases, it's just painful grind, doing the same thing over and over again. Now that I think about this, it's kinda like real life. If I had to pick something that really bothers me, it's constant hoarding and being unable to spend some resources. Maybe this is just me, I don't know. Couple of years ago, I was genuinely hoping that the invention of the cutest garbage disposal would solve this issue. at the end of the day it is what it is. And I would like to see some changes, but it's probably not gonna happen. Enjoy the rest of your life and let me know what do you think about this.